Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at these repetition I'm doing to the link. The link is a collaboration between APLA Health Prevention Department and the CDC with the amazing graphics by the one, the only Pyro Media. If you missed last week's episode, you should definitely take a look and then see our interview with the CEO and the founder of Pyro. Shout out Kwame in the background right now.
Okay.
Hey.
What's up, Kwame?
But today we have a little bit of a different show. It's September. It's fall time. One of those things means it's back to school time. But is that the best option for everyone else? We have a special guest to kind of talk about that. But before we get into that, as I mentioned, my name is Kai Smith, and I'm joined here by the amazing, the wonderful, the handsome, the beautiful, whatever positive adjectives that we want to describe them. They're all of them. Do y'all want to introduce yourselves?
What's going on, everybody? It is your favorite prevention training specialist over at Swab and Chill, your boy Daniel J. Glad to be here. We got a lot to talk about, and honey, we're gonna talk about this traumatic experience that we call school. I got things to talk about.
Cool, traumatic.
What's up, y'all? I am Dwayne Tuffy, your other, soon to be new favorite. No, I'm just playing. I just love to mess with Daniel like that. Prevention training specialist here with the social and sexual networks at APLA Health. And we're gonna get into it right now. What's up, Kai? Tell us about it.
Oh, wow. So yeah, throwing me off like,
you. It's like I wasn't ready for that transition. Wait a minute.
I know. So today we've got a lot of things going on. One of them is, if you didn't know, yesterday was National Gay Men's HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. If you were following any of the APLA social medias, you saw a couple posts from all of us, kind of words that we feel, things that we remember, or reasons why we're working in the field in HIV. So definitely, if you're a person living with HIV and you're not in care, reach out. We'll help you. We'll help you for the free
or the low cost.
But yeah, so let's get into what's popping because things are happening. So there was something going on with Kelly Price. Who wants to take over?
Child, she was missing. She was missing in the street. Well, allegedly, she was missing. Okay. Allegedly, she was missing. So apparently, Kelly Price had not been seen on her social media. For the people that follow her, they know she's pretty, consistent in her posting and going live and whatnot with kids, this, that, and the other. Well, she had COVID. Apparently, she had long COVID. It was a very dramatic moment. She flatlined while in the hospital, and they brought her back. She had to go into a disclosed location. She said that people were coming to her house and bringing things and knocking on the door and ringing the doorbell. And so she left her home to this undisclosed location so that she could rest. But she didn't tell nobody. She didn't tell her publicist. She didn't say, hey, write a statement, let the people know I'm still alive. And so people hadn't seen her. They started asking questions. A month goes by, and her sister, her estranged sister, puts out a missing persons report. The police do a wellness check. She don't answer the door because she ain't there. And so this whole big thing goes into effect about Kelly Price is missing. Where is she? Okay, where on earth is Carmen Sandiego type tease? And she broke her silence. Because everybody was looking at her fiance like, wait a minute. The fiance picked her up from the hospital and she wasn't fully well. The fiance talking about she fine. The attorney talking about she fine, but we still ain't seen her. So we all was looking at the fiance like, you did it. You was caught in the library with the candlestick. You did it.
The people always want the drama. I don't understand. Why does it always have to be a mass murder?
But you have to, I will say, in fairness, in a time where, protect Black women as a campaign is really huge. Black girls being trafficked and kidnapped and, put into sex trafficking. It was a huge thing. And so she finally broke her silence on TMZ to let us know that she is alive. She is getting better. She's not well just yet. And, she kind of talked about her sister being estranged and basically, family fronting for the gram.
Oh, Lord.
So I, on one hand, am happy that she's okay, that she's in recovery. But Miss Price, you could have told your publicist, okay, you could have said, girl, write a statement. Let the people know that I'm still alive and that I'm okay because I'm not missing. That's all she had to do.
But why did she have to? Because if she was a regular girl,
but she's not. She's a celebrity. And
why does that mean we're entitled to her business?
It's not it being entitled to her business, but I want to congratulate the community because when they noticed that a Black woman was not where she usually is, the community stepped up.
But we don't assume Beyonce is dead when she go on her hiatus. Like, she just show up on a camel a month later and be like, oh, so she was in India, or
but let's all,
know,
I mean,
like,
no shade to Kelly Price. To compare Beyonce to Kelly Price is a little unfair because I say this because Beyonce is at a status where she can't go nowhere without, a whole squad of people around her to protect her. So we don't really know what Beyonce is doing because she's not on any live, she's not posting like that. We just assume she's in the studio, whatever. With people like Kelly Price, they're still celebrities, but they're more, locally. People know them. We're used to seeing them.
Local.
I didn't call her a local. I said locally.
Don't
people
do
know her.
But
I can see Kelly Price at Target. I'm not gonna walk up in Target and see Beyonce.
Beyonce has gone to Target, but I think ultimately, I hear what both of you are saying. I do think it is.
Michelle Obama went to Target and they literally closed it down so she could go shop.
But the point being, definitely great. The community noticed something was up. So it is often, it's rare sometimes that we see people in the community when someone's missing that we like say, hey, what's going on? And as Daniel was saying, there is a big push right now, especially with Black and Indigenous women, POC women, trans women, that we're now really saying, like, if someone isn't where they normally are, let's say something, because by the time a lot of times people notice, it's too late at that point.
Look at what happened to Britney. That's why we got the whole Free Britney movement going on.
But I do think it is one of those things, kind of in Dwayne's
defense.
Defense is
advocacy.
Is that this is a grown woman, so she's definitely entitled to her privacy. So she is allowed to disappear. She's absolutely allowed to disappear. I do think that kind of some of the panic that happened could have been prevented with, as we've seen some of the comments, it's a text message. Just say your publicist, I'm alive, or give me a face. Hey girl, not feeling well. I'm just going to be silent for a little bit. Leave it at that.
And my thing is, she didn't have to say anything before going away. Like if she wanted to take a hiatus.
But once people started noticing, she should have said something.
But when you start seeing
people like, hey,
missing
people
persons down on the sides of milk cartons and almost cut and stuff.
And
yes, she needs to contact the people.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where it is. It's like, people are looking for you. Fair. Just send a message like, hey, I'm okay. Leave it at that.
Right.
Now you on TMZ with a bad wig, crying and snotting, talking about your daughter and everything.
It was a little stiff, but I didn't see any lace, so I'm gonna give her.
Oh Lord. For that. Well, I'm not gonna mention anybody's wig because I don't know anything about them. But so let's go into our next topic. So another topic that we have is, you might have seen right now, the FDA has approved the Pfizer booster shot. So if you have gotten 2 Pfizer COVID shots already, and you are part of a specific group of people who are immunocompromised, over the age of 65, or even healthcare workers, they are now recommending or saying that it is probably a good chance for you to get your 3rd booster shot. And this sounds really, really great. It's going to enhance your COVID, your ability to fight COVID that much better. However, on a global scale, I think we have to have the conversation, because the UN actually had a meeting about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, saying no one should be giving anybody 3 shots of their COVID vaccination when there are countries that haven't even gotten their first, right? So we've seen this in Israel, or the state of Israel has given all of their citizens 2 shots, and they're onto their 3rd vaccination. America here, anyone who is eligible or willing to get their COVID shots can get them. And now we're offering this 3rd COVID shot. But there are countries in Africa where 75% of their population has yet to get their first dose.
And dropping.
And we've also seen countries like India where they'll actually make some of the COVID vaccines that they ship out to the rest of the world, but their general population isn't getting it. So then this conversation goes to, should we be giving this 3rd booster shot to the world or to our citizens when we know in all good conscience that the world isn't even fully protected? Do we care? Should we care?
Well, I think the question I have is really like, are we making enough of the first batch, like the first 2 doses, before we even get to the booster? Because the booster is in addition to.
Oh yeah, America and a lot of these other first world countries, if we should call them that, higher industry companies or countries, are actually wasting vaccines because they have vaccines that aren't even being used and they have to throw out because they're no good.
So that's what I want to know. Like, does the booster really affect like who is getting the first 2 doses of their vaccine?
I think the conversation is more so we put money and time into this booster. Mm-hmm. We're putting resources into this booster shot.
And it's the same. It's the same vaccination. It's not a different. It's just the same.
It's just an extra.
You're just giving another shot of it.
And so we're taking money and resources into this booster shot. And we're not utilizing those resources across the board for countries and people who haven't even gotten their first dosage. I particularly for one, feel like it's wasteful. Because I feel like this is a global pandemic. This is not something that just affects the U.S. or any other, first world country. We gotta find another term. I really hate using that term.
More industrial.
More industrial. Where capitalism is alive and well. But it affected the world. It is affecting the world. And if these countries, like the U.S. wants to say, well, we're just going to take care of our country and we're not going to worry about everybody else, I think it's selfish. I don't think that it's very smart. And it's going to cause a larger problem in the long run when you have all of these people, spanned across the world who don't even have vaccination, who are possibly, catching COVID, susceptible to catching COVID, and possibly keeping this virus going and mutating at rates that we can't necessarily calculate. Juicy. So, get your y'all remember Juicy Fruit? So to me, I think that it's irresponsible for the U.S. and other countries who are doing the same to be providing this booster when, again, there are hundreds upon thousands upon millions of people in the world who have not had the opportunity to get the first shot.
Do you want to say?
Honestly, Daniel just took the words right out of my mouth, to a degree, but more eloquently, I would say,
Yeah, I agree. I do think, and I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going.
Oh, no, that was it. That was pretty much it. I was going to say, would it be bad? Would we be a bad country to, well, they probably don't have, do they have the?
Would we be a worse country? Because we're already.
Yeah, will we be a worse country to try to sell it to?
Oh, yeah, we shouldn't sell it. Don't sell it.
Broke.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into that. But no, selling is not, because remember, these countries don't have the money, which is why America or places like Israel are able to have so many extras, because we're able to buy up them really, really quickly.
Right. Which is so interesting.
Yeah.
To me.
And I think ultimately it seems really strange that we're pushing this third booster shot when we still have a large part of the population that hasn't gotten their first COVID shot. And there's places in this country that literally are saying, no, we don't want it. We don't need it. You can instead take a horse tranquilizer to prevent COVID. So I feel like our priorities are really, really in a weird spot. And I feel like on a global scale, as Daniel said, this is in fact impacting the world. The world needs to get better.
The world, Craig. The world.
So yeah. So there's that with that. So whatever y'all think, let us know. Let's have the conversation because we know. Come on, Dante.
Okay.
On other countries before caring. So Dante, here's a great question. So caring for their own, you don't think that we are caring for our own by already offering the COVID shot? What about caring for the people who aren't getting it? What about the states that don't have, that are saying it's illegal to do a mask mandate? What about places that are literally opening up when they are in the high rates of COVID? So are we really even caring for ourselves appropriately? So that's one way to combat that. But let's keep on going because sometimes we get stuck in one topic and there's a couple more. Dwayne, do you want to talk about the money, the poor, us being broke right now?
Help us, we're poor, says our our treasury that has been updated this rising. They started on the 18th and then we just got another release this morning around 9 a.m. basically stating that they estimate by October 18th we will have to default on our what is it? What is the word I'm looking for, y'all? Y'all are really good at politics. We're defaulting on all of our loans and debts that we owe to, other countries and things like that. And for those of you who don't know what defaulting means, that basically means we're not going to pay it, we can't pay it, and we're going to leave it at that and let the cards fall where they may. And so they're saying that is going to delay a lot of people's payouts for, people are waiting for their what is it, our fourth stimulus?
Some stimulus. Yeah.
Basically, we're waiting on our stimmies. Probably not going to get those. It's going to affect our interest rates. It's going to affect basically anything that has to do with the finances. You see the gas prices going up. It's going to go up even higher because we ain't got no money.
I might have to get a new job if gas prices go up.
Look, and it's so bad too because for gas you gotta get it. You gotta get it. And I think also around all this too is our government might be going through a shutdown here if we can't even approve a bill within Congress. So it's another thing that is, once again, we have people in this country who really need help. And our government seems to be kind of dragging their feet on really strange policy things where I just don't like this, or I don't think you should be putting this little section in it. So we're going to say no to everything. And it seems like a lot of people are just unwilling to kind of move. And it seems like, yes, great policies. Like, it's really, really important that we have the best policies. And I get, but remember, there are real people, real lives that are impacted by this. So when the government goes and shut down and all those government employees who aren't a part of Congress doesn't get paid, then what do we do?
Right, because y'all not gonna run it on your own. Like, you don't even know how to do half of these people's jobs that work under you.
So it's one of those kind of conversations that I think, and I'm tired of hearing about government shutdowns because they can't agree on the budget for this country. And it's just weird that it happens every year. And I don't know if it's been happening every single year and we just didn't know it, but it feels like lately our government shutting down at least twice a year.
Right. I'll never forget when I lived in Taiwan for about 6 months. You know, Taiwan is one of those countries that it's an independent territory, but it's governed by China. And a lot of people apparently travel through Taiwan, and specifically the area of Taichung, which I was living in. And to hear other people from other countries talk about the U.S.'s financial status was very interesting, because a lot of them felt like, you know, we are archaic in the way that we use money and create money, and will no longer have money in years to come. And that was back in 2014. So to be here now in 2021 and seeing our government struggle and make these public statements about how we don't have money, we can't pay this debt, we can't. I'm looking back at those conversations and I'm like, I should have been paying attention and saving up a piggy bank.
I want to know, where did the money go? Okay.
Okay.
Where is it? Because it's not in our pockets.
We asking the government what we asking Karen Civil. Where'd the money go, girl?
That's why it's important. Call your House representative.
Call your local. They don't answer my calls.
So we have like 2 minutes, and I want to get to this last real big topic. If you are following the Robert Kelly trial, so Robert Kelly has been convicted on a conviction of sex trafficking, which holds a sentence of up to 20 years. And this is just in the sex act. Yeah, this is just a sex trafficking. So there's still a couple of different charges that I think are up on Mr. Kelly. But we've seen some interesting responses to the world. There are still people who really, really support R. Kelly, the Boondocks. I've seen a lot on social media, people saying that what we saw in the Boondocks, the way people support R. Kelly is kind of how they're doing it in real life. And it is true.
It's true. It's hilarious, but I don't think it's something that should be supported. Do I think it's funny? Yes. Do I think it's right? No.
Yeah. So I think this is a great conversation, especially in communities of color, how we support abusers, even if they are, because I understand that R. Kelly's music has been in a lot of our lives forever. Every cookout, every lovemaking session, you might have had a R. Kelly song in the background. But at what point do we stop supporting abusers?
And at what point do we think about the fact that half of them songs were inspired by
a 14-year-old girl?
Right.
So yeah. So interesting. Daniel, how do you feel? We got 30 seconds. Go.
I would like to say his name, send his ass to jail.
All right. Well, there it is. And that is what's popping, everybody. If we didn't talk about the things that you wanted us to talk about, send us a list. We love to talk about things that you recommend for us. But now, the main topic for the day, back to school or not. So today we're going to talk about, today we're going to have the conversation, is higher education right for you? Are there other options? So to do this, we wanted to have this kind of conversation, but we also realized we had someone who recently had just finished getting his PhD, had just gone through this whole school process from, bachelor's, master's, PhD. So we thought, what better person to have on the show than Mr. Dante Morrison himself. So everyone, welcome Dante to the link. Hey Dante.
Hi.
Gullah Gullah Island. I went back for a moment.
I love Gullah Gullah Island.
I
have artwork from Natalie. Hi Dante. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So for the people who don't know, which I don't know why they wouldn't know who you are on this show, can you give us a quick 30-second introduction and your kind of process in school? How do you relate to higher education?
You want all that in 30 seconds?
Give me a minute. I believe you can do it.
You can do it, doctor. Go.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Dante Morrison. I'm the Associate Director of HIV Prevention Services here at APLA Health. I recently received my PhD in Global Leadership from Pepperdine University. And to answer Kai's first question, which was what again?
How did you, who are you? Who are you? And
I did that part.
Okay, and then the second question was your relationship to school. So look,
Oh, okay. All right.
See, 30 seconds. You did
so
it.
just my relationship to school. Yeah. Okay. So did I do it? Did I accomplish it all? Did I answer it? Okay. Awesome. There you go. That's who I am.
So I had previously sent you some questions, but before we get into it, I want to ask you, Dante, why a PhD? Why did you want to get it?
Because there's not a lot of people of color that are on that level, and I want to be a part of the basically 2 to 3% of individuals that have a doctorate that are of color. So that was one. The other one was because school has become a lot more competitive. And right now, a bachelor's degree is, not to shade anybody with one, but it is somewhat equivalent to a high school diploma. You know, it doesn't carry the weight that it used to carry back in the day. So a lot of folks are, you know, pursuing master's degrees, which makes the playing field a lot more competitive. So I just really want to separate myself from the bachelor's and master's degree crowd, especially in public health. You know, the field that we work in is saturated with people that either have an MPH or an MPA, and they're going on to do great work. But how do you make what you want to do kind of stand out? So I just decided to level up.
Come on, level up. So great. So then this is actually a really great segue into the first question that I have. Do you feel that this higher education that you received has opened the doors that is often promised? You know, they always say, you know, you need a college degree to, you know, get there. And you kind of touched on the bachelor's degree. I remember when I started college in 2009, they said, once you have a bachelor's degree, you're set. I graduated and they said, okay, well, bachelor's degree is nothing. You need a master's degree to be competitive. Do you feel that this higher education really does open up a lot of the doors for you and for other people, even if it's not in a public health space?
It really depends on the field. I think a lot of misinformation is given to high school students about college and the promise of success, or that the degree will guarantee you certain things, and it doesn't. And I think we force people to go and pursue higher degrees when it's not something that they want, are based upon what they want to do in life, you know. And then we always say, well, get that degree so you have something to fall back on. Well, if you got a bachelor's, you gonna fall hard, because you're really not gonna land in the position that you want to be in. So I think that first we must understand, what does a degree mean? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it for advancement that may not happen? Some people go to college, you know, just for a sense of, you know, I did it, and I'm getting a degree so I can say I have a degree and it's all for me. Some people go to college because they feel that once I get this degree, that's going to guarantee me the Benz and the house on the hill. It's a lot of broke folks with degrees. You know, it's a lot of struggling individuals, and you see their resume and they have degrees, 4 years, 6 years, but they're still struggling because the job market right now is just so saturated and it's really challenging out there. I push trades. You know, I'm a big trade person. You know, listen, go be a welder, you know, be a barber, plumber, get you a trade, get you a skill set, do something that you will love doing that's gonna make you some money. But in college is not for everybody.
Yeah. I have a question for you. So a few years back, there was a study done in regards to kind of the evolution of the higher education, the evolution of the degree system. And as you said, you know, bachelors right now, they don't carry the same weight that they did, you know, when I was in high school, per se. But the study shows that that shift happened when more Black folks specifically, but people of color, started to get a bachelor's, that the weight of the bachelor started to decrease. Do you feel like that is going to continue to happen in regards to like a master's degree, where everyone is then going to push for a PhD?
I do, because you have to look at now, they have a lot of programs in schools. A lot of inner city schools have these programs where a kid can graduate with an associate's. Like they literally leave high school with an associate's. They're 2 years ahead of the game. Now we're talking about doing this within communities of color. Now, of course, minorities still do not have the same access as their white counterparts when it comes to higher education, but they're getting up on game and they're starting to pursue it more because they're taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities that are out there. So as that field gets more saturated, and the ease of getting into certain higher educational programs like master's degree and all that kind of stuff, yes, we're going to see a lot of individuals, that basically would have stopped at bachelor's keep going because they're going to start seeing that, it's not that inobtainable to get a master's like it was in times past. It's a lot easier to get it. The game is changing. The pandemic really shifted a lot of stuff and it showed what can be done virtually. A lot of online institutions, are really carving a niche into the environment because of what is going on with the pandemic. So you get online, you say in 2 years, you got your master's from an online university that's accredited, then you're in the game. Yeah. And I think that people just have to be ready for that. And they have to understand that you got to put in the work, that's needed to get these degrees.
Yeah, and that's actually a really great segue to my next question. What advice would you give someone that you wish someone had given to you when you started your higher education journey?
Honestly, I wish I would have went right out of high school. Because I waited until I was an adult learner. That's what they say, old people. I was an adult learner. It brought on more challenges, but I wish I would have went straight out of high school. Instead, I went to the military. I didn't really learn about college until I started watching A Different World. And that's real. I didn't know that college was, when I saw A Different World and I watched School Days, I went to school, I went to Banning High School, Wilmington, California. There was not a lot of talk about HBCUs. There was not a lot of talk about higher education. It was a lot of talk about getting a skill, but when it came to going to college, there was not a lot of conversations that I was a part of that said, pursue it, pursue it, pursue it. Hey, what's up, Ben Evans? Y'all better shout out these folks on this chat. What up, Ben? But I think that, and he's someone you guys should get on the show, by the way. Segue. He's about to drop his new book. Yeah, so Ben, you can come on the link and talk about your book.
Working on Ben to be on the show.
On the show. All right. So anyway, I wish I would have been more prepared for the college experience when I was younger. But at the same time, I do think I went when it was best for me to go.
Yeah, and I will kind of echo that. I'm back in school and everyone in the office has watched me the last, 6 months have my emotional breakdowns from school. And it's hard to get back. I have a bachelor's degree. I took from 2013 till 2020 to get back. And that was 7 years. School is a skill. You have to learn to be in school. So it's definitely one of those things. So definitely if you can, start sooner rather than later. So Dante, we only have a couple more minutes. But before we go, I want to know from you, because you had kind of already alluded to this, between college and a trade. And we'll talk more about trades a little bit after the commercial break. But in your opinion, which do you feel can be the most beneficial? Do you think it might be a little bit of both? Or do you think that it really is ultimately higher education is going to provide you with the most options later on in life? What do you think?
To me, honestly, it's up to the individual. Okay. Whichever one you feel works best for you. Both have a different approach. One is more focused on that skill. A trade is more focused on that skill. But yeah, I agree. College is not, meant for everybody. Everybody is not college minded. College takes a lot of discipline. You gotta be disciplined. You gotta have that money. So it's good for high school kids to know about scholarships and all that. Those that want to go, those that are being groomed to go to college, they need to up on them scholarships and how they gonna pay for this. Because once you get out of college, you got a year, to really figure out what you're gonna do before they start reaching out for that money back. They want that money back, and they're gonna get that money back some kind of way. But I think between going to a regular university or going to a trade school, it's up to the individual. I also want to recommend people that for kids, this saying, I'm about to go to college. If your parents are on the fence when it comes to money, or if you're on the fence when it comes to money, do not be ashamed of going to a community college. Go to a community college, knock out those 2 years at the community college, and then transfer to a 4-year. It will save you thousands of dollars. because most kids, they want to go to the USC or the UCLA, and they want to go to all these high-end universities, not really understanding that, you know, those degrees are cool, but that you're going for the name. You're really going for the name.
You're paying for the paper.
Yeah, you're going to get the same education anywhere on the bachelor's level because it's the generals. You're going to get those general courses. Knock those general courses out at a community college where it's $25, you know, to get it done, instead of going and wasting tens of thousands of dollars just to have that name on your diploma. Now, as you go higher, I would say go to the university that will best suit what you want to get that degree in or what you want to do. But don't be ashamed to go to no JC. Don't be embarrassed. And then I want to tackle, if it's okay, Zabi Tyra's question about everything is done virtually. And I've done both. I've done virtual and in person. I will say for me, in person works better. Because virtual, you have to be super duper disciplined. Because when I was doing my virtual classes, literally, I'm making tacos, I'm frying chicken, I'm vacuuming, you know, I'm watching Real Housewives, all while in class. And I was missing some things because I wasn't focused on this screen or that virtual environment. Whereas in class, I'm sitting there with the instructor, I'm asking questions. It's a different feel, it's a different vibe. But in class don't work for some people because they're sitting there like, I'm bored. You know, I'm just stuck in this environment. Give me virtual so I can have the liberty to do what I want to do and then tune in when necessary. So I think that when it comes to those two, whichever works best for you is going to be good. If you know that you are not the kind of person that can sit in front of a screen, you know, for upwards of 8 hours, and I had 12-hour classes. I had 12-hour virtual classes. So imagine sitting in front of a computer screen for 12 hours while someone is Charlie Brown and you wah, for 12 hours. And then breakout groups virtually and then come back after lunch. And it's challenging, but it's really up to what you think you can handle and what you feel is worth it for your time. You know, and actually, as you get older, it can become more challenging because you have a lot more responsibilities. You know, I am working a full-time job and I got all 3 of my degrees while simultaneously working a full-time job. That is a lot. Some people would rather be a full-time student, you know, and live off that college money, but that wasn't my option. So just want to tackle that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And then something that you said earlier too about people being ashamed for community college. Here's a little for people who don't know. A lot of your college professors at the UCs or these big schools are also teaching at the community college. So you are really getting
the same person,
same lesson. My professor, because I'm going to Glendale Community College, also teaches at USC. So it's like I could be going to USC paying all that money, or I'm going to Glendale Community College and I'm paying less than or more than half of what I would be paying for my other class. So
so don't be shamed. If you go to Compton College, you better wear your Compton College t-shirt. Right. Don't be shamed and embarrassed. You go to a JC, you saving money. So do what you gotta do. Exactly. Do what you gotta do.
With that, Dante, we are going to head to our commercial, and we want to thank you so much for giving us your time and your brain for this.
You're welcome.
So we definitely appreciate that. So when we get back, everyone, we are going to be talking about trade schools and trade options. Not that kind of trade, but maybe that kind of trade.
Maybe that kind of trade.
You never know.
I mean, you make money either way.
At the trade school.
We'll see what happens here.
You make money either way.
So sit tight with us, everyone. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks, Dante.
Are you in need of a quick and easy way to know your HIV status? Swab and Chill is a discreet way to learn your status in the comfort of your own home. The process gives you results in 20 minutes. Swab the upper gums, swab the lower gums, and voila! Simply follow the colorful step-by-step instructions located inside the kit. Or call APLA and we can assist you virtually. In addition, all kits include condoms and lube for that penetrative fun. For our trans clients, we have Swab and Chill Plus, a customizable kit for trans-specific needs. And we haven't forgotten about COVID either. All kits include personal protection gear, like face masks, comfortable yet stylish. A personal touch tool for dealing with those germ-infested handles and ATM keypads. Wet wipes for those little messes that need cleaning up. Also, keep that summer body protected with Swab and Chill sunscreen. And don't forget about our fanny packs for those quick trips to the store. All this can be yours. Simply call Swab and Chill at 323-329-9713 or email us at swabandchill@apla.org. We would love for you to be part of our Swab and Chill family.
Come swab and chill with us!
Just like, oh my God, my hair.
My skin.
Oh, my skin. I'm fat. Y'all better get over it. Welcome back, honey, for the second half of this show.
Welcome back to the link. So we just had Dante and we were talking about higher education. But as we mentioned, higher education isn't accessible for everyone, right? We got to talk about time. We got to talk about money, access information. Not everyone grows up in a household that even talks about college. If your parents didn't go to college, you know, some people have family members who didn't even finish high school. So then what then, right? We don't want to say that the key to success is getting a college degree. Well, we know that's not the case. So let's talk about our other options, that being trade schools. So things like being a plumber, things like being a welder, a contractor. You could be a vocational nurse. You could do so many other things that don't quite need a college degree. Technology right now is huge. You're seeing a lot of cybersecurity people. And yes, there are degrees for cybersecurity, but you could just go to a training for cybersecurity. You go to Google. Google has online courses. If you complete their online course, they will hire you.
Y'all hearing this, right?
There are different options for you. So let's talk about that. So the first question that I have for everyone out there, and then I'm also going to provide like background information, anything on that. Let's see, what do you all think? College, trade school, which do you feel for, let's say, the young queer person ages 18 to 39 who doesn't have the financial resources? Do you think that trade schools are a good option?
You know, I'm going to go back to something that Dante said earlier in our first segment. It really depends on the individual.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day,
exactly.
If you are a person that doesn't know what you want to do, like you don't know what type of career path you necessarily want to have, and you're just like, I don't really know. I just know that I want to do something that I like. I would recommend trade schools first, because it's like, start out with a trade, learn a skill, possibly make some money while doing it. And then if you then change your mind, like, oh, this leads me to something I really do want to do, then you have the option to kind of go into the university level. But, there are some people where it's like trade schools or, college and university, neither one is what you want to do. You have people that want to be, life coaches, and you don't need a psych degree to be a life coach. You can literally go into a program that teaches you how to be a life coach. You get certified, you take the tests and whatnot, and you basically have your own consulting business. So it really depends on what type of path that you want to take. I have a friend who people used to laugh at him because for the longest time, all he wanted to be was a trash man.
Trash man made good money.
Like, that was his aspiration. Like, I want to be the garbage man. And people laughed at him. But honey, when I tell you, he was a garbage man for quite a long time. He works for the post office now, but he was a garbage man for a really long time. It paid well. His family's doing well. He has a beautiful house in Long Beach. And, he's doing well for himself, but that's what he wanted to do, and that's what he pursued. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends. It really depends on what you want to do and how you want to navigate life. But I definitely think that if you are undecided, trade schools are the cheaper undecided route. If you're talking college or any type of higher education, trade schools are definitely cheaper. Junior colleges are definitely cheaper. So if you are undecided and unsure about what path to take in your career life, child, please don't apply for no 4-year university and go into debt.
For no reason. What about you, Dwayne?
Well, for me, to be honest, I'm kind of on the spectrum of like, I don't really feel like you need either to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there are many other avenues that you can take, like internships, to get the same type of education depending on what field you want to go into. Do I feel like higher education strengthens that and also gives you more like a stronger sense of work ethic and critical thinking? Yes. Do I feel like it's necessary? No. But if I had to answer your question, if I had to go with one or the other, I would probably go with the trade school. Because I feel like with the trade school, you can, go into it and just, feel around. Like maybe you'll start off in the engineer, technical engineering, and then go into like welding, and go from welding to cosmetology. Like, you have options in different, and also different access to different mindsets and different types of people who want to do different stuff that might open your eyes to something that you never even knew was a career option. Now, just to piggyback off of what Daniel and Dante said, like if you're undecided, then I would probably just go with like a community college, because at least then you can still, if you don't know but still want to pursue some type of higher education, then at least, like Dante said, you can get your general eds out of the way while you're still figuring it out, and then maybe taking a what is it called?
Elective.
Yes, but like
Talk around it.
Yeah, basically like electives, like basically
insert here.
Yes, insert name here classes that go along with a certain degree that you think you might want to
like
go.
Supplemental.
Yes, exactly.
I will say this though, I don't want people to think that going to a trade school or going to a junior college is easier.
No.
Going to school, period, is the same level of stress and hard, no matter what you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing that we're looking at is cost and availability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that's really the big difference. Like, what do you want to do? What can you afford? And then what type of time commitment do you have?
Yeah. And so to give everyone a little bit of kind of background. So when we say trade school, it's going to be kind of a general term. So this could be anything from like actual training, like welding. It could be just continuing education, or even like massage therapy certification, like a licensed LVN, licensed vocational nurse, things like that. Mm-hmm. Their programs, like on the whole, generally these are a lot shorter, right? So you go to, you get a degree, you get your bachelor's degree, that's 4 years. Then you realize, okay, maybe I need a master's degree, that's an additional 2 years. And you decide, I want to get my PhD. That could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years. So you're looking at school money-wise, paying like a minimum, depending if you have scholarship or anything, you're paying a minimum of $25K every year, maybe even closer to $50K or $100K, depending on how great of a school you're going to.
And it's just going to keep going up if you
the higher education you get, the more money you're going to spend.
And let me look, Sally Mae gonna get her money one way or the other when you get out. Sally Mae gonna get her coin, okay?
And if she don't, you're going to get out to go back into jail.
But then with the trade school, you could spend for a 2-year program, 18-month program, or even some places it's a year-long program, where it's a $10,000 for that entire year. So yes, $10,000 for a lot of people is still a lot of money that you're kind of dishing out right away. But in the long run, you are spending less. Also, as I mentioned just now, that time frame, 10 years as opposed to 18 months, 2 years, a year, right? So for some of us, especially right out of high school, if we're looking to kind of, or even not right out of high school, we're just looking to do something different and kind of better ourselves. I can easily devote a 12-year, like devoting 12 months of my life to a trade is easier to map out than devoting the next 7 to 8 years of my life, right? Because it's one of those things like, okay, I can figure out for this next 12 months if I have to work at, fast food, nothing wrong with working at fast food. Just if I have to work a part-time job for 12 months, I can get through it.
Bless y'all who work at fast food. I couldn't do it because I don't have the patience. I'd have been slapped somebody through the window. So I really do appreciate y'all. I really do. I try to be kind to every single one of y'all. Now some of y'all got a lot of food, and it's probably because you in school trying to just make it happen and trying to get through it. But God bless you.
But now imagine having to do that for 7 to 8 years while you're still trying to get your bachelor's degree, your master's degree. And so that can be really, really hard for some people. Some people just don't have it. If you're the primary breadwinner out of your household at 18, going to college isn't an option. But a trade school, you might be able to do that. I do want to keep in mind, though, while you're in trade school, a lot of people find it very difficult to work because you are in They're putting a lot of information in a really, really short time period. So usually when people are in trade schools, things like that, they'll tell you I have 8-hour days, 9-hour days of just my class. So that's something to keep in mind. But if you're in college, you have a little bit more flexibility with your class schedule, but it's over a longer period. So it might not work for you. Also, something that a lot of people might not be aware of in school is the trade schools, you get more one-on-one, right? I've been in a lecture hall where I have had up to 500 people in that class. My teacher didn't know who I was. If I struggled or I needed a question, it was really, really hard sometimes to sit down and actually get that kind of one-on-one teaching. And if you struggle with school or you need a little extra help, those big lectures might not be for you. Trade schools tend to be smaller kind of class sizes. You tend to be in your trade school, in your class, graduating class or whatever. It could be up to about maybe 100 people. It might be 20 people. So that's something that really, really helps you. And it's hands-on, right? So if I want to be a welder and I go to trade school for welding, I'm going to be welding very, very quickly. I will be doing my job and I will be practicing what my skill is. If I want to be a psychologist, first I got to get your bachelor's degree and kind of whatever you want. And then you have to get your master's degree. And then you don't even get to see a client right away. You have to kind of work your way up to that. So you could be 5 years in education before you even start doing your job. And then at that point, what if you realize 4.5 years later, as you start seeing clients for the first time, I don't like this.
Well, technically, as a psychologist, you do have to do a certain amount of in the field hours,
which doesn't happen until later on in your master's program. Usually so it's 4.5 years at that point.
Usually when you're going to be a psychologist, like once you get your bachelor's, you've gotten your master's, you do have to do an internship. You're required to do an internship through your master's program. After you do the internship, you still have to find a job where those hours can be accumulated, but you're not necessarily seeing clients. So you might be working with another psychologist who's seeing clients, and you might be doing work in the office, and that kind of counts towards your hours. Or sometimes they will hand you a particular client that you can help with to kind of count towards your hours. But I think it's like 3,000 hours at minimum.
And
that you have to do before you can even certify to be.
What happens if halfway through you realize, I don't like this anymore, or this isn't right for me? But you just spent all that time
and that money,
all that money,
all the coins,
and all that effort. And
you know how many Popeye chicken sandwiches that is, child?
How many? I want to know.
I can't. But for a trade school, you can figure out pretty early on while you're in this trade, getting your certification, if this is going to be right for you. And I think that offers a lot more flexibility. You might, miss out on a deposit. You might miss out on kind of some of that things that you had to pay because they're a business too. But I think it gives a little bit more flexibility. It also lets you make money faster, sooner, right? You get a trade, you can be right out of your trade school, and it's not guaranteeing a job. I also want to put that out there. Like Dante said, having a degree doesn't guarantee a job. Having that trade certification doesn't guarantee a job, but you get to start looking sooner. You get to kind of be out in the world doing what you're looking to do sooner. And then even if you say like, all right, I went and got my certification as a plumber. So now I'm working for someone else and being a plumber. You might realize a couple years down the line, I want to own my own plumbing business. Right. You don't need a business degree. Just take a couple plumbing classes, business classes at your local community college because they'll have them. And then if you want to go back later, school is always there, everyone. School will never go away.
Let me say this as someone who is one, because, a lot of times we talk about trades and alternative ways to higher education or to just career paths. In the technological world of the internet, okay, on Cicely Tyson's internet, even if you wanted to be a blogger, there's no course that I can find that's going to teach you how to be a blogger. Now, you can take a journalism class, you can take a marketing class, you can take a business course, all of that good stuff. But a lot of times, these type of things now with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, you're learning on the ground. There's not a lot that a classroom is going to be able to teach you. However, there are skill sets that you do have to have, and there are programs that help you, knowing how to interview, knowing how to properly write an article. So you might want to take a writing course. You might want to take a creative writing course. I remember my first job as a contributor to an online magazine. It was the Liberty Guardian Voice. And before we could be a writer on their platform, we had to go through like an intensive training, and that training was like, I want to say almost a month and a half. And when I tell you they were giving us articles to write, and it was like, I'll never forget, they gave me an article. It was an opinion article that I had to write for a show that I had never seen.
Oh, great.
And the article had to be about the upcoming season. I did not have time to watch seasons 1 and season 2. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? So you know what I did? I called all my friends who saw that show and I conferenced them. I need you to tell me what the show is about. But I got the job. I finished the training, got the job, and I was making pretty good money being a writer for a news publication. So in a technological world, there are so many more options for people who really want to kind of pave their own way to success. It doesn't necessarily have to be, a labor job or a labor trade. And those are great. I'm not downing those at all. But again, because there's some people who's like, I'm not picking up nan wrench. I don't even know what a wrench look like. I ain't seen a wrench in my life.
I know what it looks like.
But I know what the keyboard looks like. I know how to log on to YouTube and upload a video. I know how to do that.
Right. And I think oftentimes what's funny, we see on social media the memes all the time where people are looking for like a social media consultant or whatever, and it's saying you need to have 15 years of experience, knowing that social media hasn't been around for that long. So it's one of those things, especially for Gen Zs, millennials, we know this. We made this, right? So I do think kind of what Daniel's saying, you don't need to. And then also, even if you don't want to do the plumber, things like that, something like nursing, because Dwayne kind of said it, like right now I have my bachelor's degree, but I'm going back for nursing. So you guys know my life. But I'm not going to get a bachelor's degree in nursing. I'm getting an AA degree in nursing. That is a 18-month program. That's it. I mean, there were certain requirements and things that I had to get along with that. But you can even become a nurse who in California can make a lot of money.
Sure.
It's a stressful job depending on what you do. Shout out to all of our nurses and healthcare professionals. We know nurses run the system. I'm with my partner is a nurse in the ER. So I know that the nurse ERs are really holding America together.
Them 4-12-2 work weeks. Sure.
Oh yeah, he works 12-hour days. But yeah. And that is, you can go become a nurse just from an 18-month nursing program. So there are options too, where you don't have to get the bachelor's degree that you might be thinking of. And you might be going to Glendale Community College to get your nursing certification to do that.
Or even if you're like, you don't want to be a nurse, but you want to still be in the medical field, you be a pharmacy tech.
Pharmacy tech, x-ray tech, you could be a phlebotomist. There's so many different jobs that...
Don't you just love that word?
Phlebotomist.
Say it.
Phlebotomist.
I love it because I can't say it.
But
say it.
Phlebotomist. But there are options, right? You can still work in a lot of these fields. Especially we know the medical field is always going to be ultrasound tech. X-ray tech, ultrasound tech. Yeah, they're different. But it's just weird. But it's cool. But yeah, you get to have these different options. And I think the hardest part for a lot of people is finding them. Right. And I think it's one of those things. If you are a high school student right now, go to your counselor. I know sometimes the counselors really don't know much, but ask. And then we have Cicely Tyson's internet right here on our phone. And it might require a little extra effort on your part. But if it's something that you want, I think it's worth it. And it's worth looking into. Calling an adult school or a trade school and getting more information.
Getting a second opinion. Because sometimes these counselors, they'll look at you just because of like how you're performing, not really knowing your background life, and be like, oh, I'm not even going to try with this one. Yeah. So
I mean, there's been counselors like, maybe college isn't right for you. Leave me alone. But
I didn't ask you that.
Like, all I said is change my schedule. But so that's definitely something to keep in mind. So if you're a person out there and you're thinking, I want to go to school, or I want to change my career path, but I don't have the time for school. I don't have the resources for school. I don't have the support. Maybe look into a trade option. Cosmetology. It's intense, and the money that you put out right away is a little bit more, but it also gives you the flexibility after, if you're a barber, to, kind of run your own schedule, be your own boss. If you are someone who does eyebrow threading, esthetician work, things like that. It gives you kind of this option. I mean, we all need a facial.
And there are platforms that are allowing you to, still run your business independently, to where people can still find you, people can still leave you reviews, and you can just be starting out. You could have got your certification last week and signed up for this, like for barbers, for example, there's the Cut app, and you could be cutting heads the next.
Come on, the Cut app. I love that. So there's options out there. So I know you might have thought like, oh, we're going to sit here and talk about go back to school. You don't have to. There's other options. If it's not right.
Internet.
Use Miss Cicely Tyson's internet. If you have other options, if you need other options, look for them, right? And I know that's easy for us to say as we sit here with our work provided computers and things like that. But it is. If you need help, reach out. Because I mean, I'll make you take an HIV test, but I will also help you plan for your future. And we have different programs too. If you're a young Black or Latino male who has sex with men ages 18 to 24, maybe sit down with Nigel.
Come on, plug.
Come on. You know, Nigel's program, they're sitting here from our part of helping with goal setting, helping with, you know, getting to wherever you want to get to. That's a really, really great option.
Low key, it's a free life coaching session and they pay you for the first 5 sessions. So, I mean,
do it.
Come in, get your coin, and get help with your life.
Also, get an HIV test.
And get an HIV test, okay?
You know, you can get it in person or we can send you a box.
Period. It's a kid, it's not a vibe.
There's no option for you not to be able to get an HIV test. You don't want to get it mailed to you? Come on. We'll get you here too. But if you don't want to come here, you're like, I don't want to stay home. Call Daniel. Daniel will help you.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
323-329-9713.
I know that's right.
As Ty said, come swap and chill with us.
Come swap and chill with us.
So we only have a few minutes left. I know I did so much talking today. It's been a while. It hasn't. I feel like everyone. Why does it feel like every week I haven't been on for like 3 weeks?
Because you're in school.
Because I'm in school. Every day is so long. I'm gonna run out of here and go into class until 10. Like, I kid you not. I run home, get on the computer by 6:30, and we're there until 10. So wish me luck. Wish I would have done a trade.
It's okay.
It's okay.
You're gonna get through this. And you can do it.
We're all gonna get through this, and you guys are gonna watch my appearance become a little bit more sad as school gets on.
We're not gonna speak that into life. So
we're not. I'm gonna do great.
I'm gonna do great. This show is to let you know that you have options.
You do.
Make sure that you're making an informed decision. Don't just allow for people or society or even your own thoughts make you feel like you cannot reach your goals because there's only one pathway to it. No, there are many pathways to a child. We are in 2021. Trust and believe there are many pathways to what it is that you want to do. Okay?
And don't be afraid of those intern level positions, okay?
Period.
Sometimes the experience can get you into doors that nowhere else can.
You never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
You never know.
Stick your pinky toe in.
Stick your whole foot in. Just
Has anyone ever successfully only put their pinky toe in?
No.
Like, no.
No, the big toe, yes.
But it's the big toe.
big toe.
It's the big toe. We got to get out of here, y'all. We right at this point where we all rambling.
I know. Thank y'all so much for joining us on another episode of Link. Join us next week, same time, same place, with the same amazing faces.
Right here every Tuesday, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time.
Ew. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Later.